Welcome back to Salam Media Highlights. And today we're going to be turning our attention to Venezuela, where crucial president elections have recently taken place. And we have the privilege of speaking to Phetoe, the General Secretary of COSATU, which is South Africa's largest trade union federation. Mr. Phetoe is currently in Venezuela as part of the international team of election observers. And in a time when global scrutiny on election is at an all-time high, Mr. Phetoe and his fellow observers on the ground are there to witness and assess the electoral process firsthand. Mr. Phetoe, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Salam Media.
And thank you very much, and thank you to your listeners.
I think first and foremost, you are in Venezuela as part of the South African election observer delegation. Can you start by giving us excuse me, an overview of your role and the purpose of your visit in literal terms? Which aspects and parts of the elections were you involved in?
Look, thank you very much once more. We are invited by the party that is leading government in Venezuela, which is the Communist Party, and the people of the Venezuela, to as a political party, as trade unions, that is invited here to be part of observing election on the ground, not as the electoral part who have mandate to announce that the election are free and fair. There's an IEC people who are invited here as also as part of the observers, but there's the electoral structures of the Venezuela that has a responsibility to declare that. Our role was to work on the ground to observe and make sure that the people of Venezuela becomes part of the election, go out in numbers to exercise their rights in terms of voting for the person or for the president that they would want to see putting up the changes in Venezuela. We can confirm that we've been here since Wednesday as COSATU, and we've been part of the campaign on the ground. We've been part of talking to some people in Venezuela to make sure that they go in numbers. We can also confirm that on the day of the election, we went to a number of the voting stations, and that people came out in numbers. There were long queue from 5 o'clock in the morning. We have seen number of very long queue of people going out to exercise their rights and make sure that there's an improvement in terms of the economy, in terms of service delivery to the people of Venezuela, being led by a person that the people of Venezuela has been nominated and elected and confirmed by electoral office this morning that he's the person and the president of Venezuela, and the like of the people of Venezuela is now being recognized.
There's been claims of electoral fraud and irregularities reported by international media outlets. What are your thoughts on this? Were you able to, observe any kind of notable issues, whether positive or negative, aspects of the elections that you have encountered?
Well, as I said, we have been here as COSATU, Communist Party, the African National Congress, the Contralesa, and number of people from other countries to invited by the political party, and on the ground, not a single violence or disruption of the election or a complaint that we've seen. Like I'm saying, if people say there's a disruption, there's a fraud, they must be able to say at what level, because entering the voting station where we're allowed to see how the voting system of Venezuela is working, is being operating. A person comes in with his ID, he goes there and he's being checked by the electoral officers. He issued his he gave his ID or her ID. He's registering his vote for a person that he wants to go. He goes to the system and presses his fingerprints to confirm more than 2 times that it's him and is a person that is voting there. At no stage that you can corrupt that system or disrupt that system. So anybody who says there was violence, there was fraudulent, he must be able to declare and say what type of corruption or what type of mismanagement of the electoral, what does that mean? We have been on the ground, and we did not visit only one or two. We visited a number of voting stations and went there. As I said, not a single violence or complaint that we've come across in those election processes. In fact,
And just
the electoral system of Venezuela is the best that we've seen, and we think that if other countries like South Africa can use that system, it will be able to improve our electoral system in South Africa.
And I want us to touch a bit on the declaration of President Nicolas Maduro. As COSATU, what do you make of him? We know the relationship that South Africa has with Venezuela. He's a very very charismatic leader, and I think would tick all of the right boxes that a union like COSATU also leans on.
For COSATU, we must declare that we do have a support to Nicolas Maduro and the type of the leadership that he has. The way he has changed since he took over, he has tried to change the situation of Venezuela, the economic strategy that has been facing to try and improve the service delivery, including the conditions of workers. Let me tell you that when we're moving around to some of the voting stations, we've never seen a single workplace that was open. Remember, the election was on Sunday. Workers went out to go and vote. They don't have what we call non-trading holidays, but no worker was stopped to go and exercise his right. And therefore, President Nicolas Maduro, he has some opportunities, change the life of the workers, the life of the people of Venezuela. And we think that this outcome deserved correctly for him to be re-elected as the president of Venezuela. And we will continue to give him support to make sure that there's an improvement. The issues about the blockage, the sanction that has been faced, we think that then in this term that he's going to get, he will be fighting to make sure that there's an unblocked, the sanctions are unblocked, and so that workers are able and the people of Venezuela are able to receive what is due to them.
And just lastly, before I let you go, we've seen his re-election come with a lot of criticism, particularly from quote unquote Western countries. The likes of the USA, some European countries also not really delighted with the re-election of Maduro. What do you make of this?
It is unfortunately that's what we're expecting. That's what we're expecting. Those are some of them from the USA, are part of the people who brought the sanctions and the blockade to the people of Venezuela. So we can't expect the good thing or a good response. But there are those who confirmed publicly in the media here in Venezuela, confirming the successful, including the support to President Maduro. So those countries that we're mentioning, that's what we expected from them. We do not expect a good wait for them, because those are the people who have been fighting, who have been trying to make sure that Maduro does not come back, but also the people of Venezuela continue to be oppressed and exploited in the manner that they wanted to be. Unfortunately, they could not win. The people of Venezuela, the communities of Venezuela have decided, and that Maduro has come back.
And from a South Africa's point of view, our relations with Venezuela, what do you think can be done at this point? You mentioned about the amount of sanctions that some of the Western countries have imposed on Venezuela, and the impact that has had on the economy of Venezuela. Our bilateral relations with Venezuela, from your point of view, could they be a bit slightly better than where they are now? I mean, considering the country's history and just how similar our circumstances are with the people of Venezuela.
Well, we will continue, and we will continue to advise our country, our government in South Africa, to continue to engage with the Venezuela people, but also to engage those who are leading the sanction to try and uplift. We know it's not going to be easy, but our support as the South African, but also as workers, is to make sure that the sanctions in Venezuela are removed. the blockade is removed. The people of Venezuela must continue to be able to receive the improvement of service delivery, in particular the issue of the economy. It's very important as we are facing the economic challenge in South Africa. We think that working with the people of Venezuela, but all working with the government of Venezuela, but also making sure that we push those like the USA, the European countries, making sure that this matter of the blockade is removed. It's not going to be easy, but we'll continue to engage our government of South Africa, to engage the USA people, to make sure that the US government, to make sure that this blockage are removed.
All right, we're going to leave it there, Mr. Phetoe, the Secretary General of COSATU, giving us the latest coming out of Venezuela as the elections have been marred with controversy. Well, it has been announced that the re-election of Nicolas Maduro has been confirmed. Mr. Phetoe, thank you so much for giving us your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, and thank you to your listeners.
All right. That was Salam Media Highlights, our last for the day, giving an insight by Phetoe, who's coming to us live from Caracas in Venezuela. He was part of a delegation of observers who are looking into a very scrutinized election process of Venezuela. But as Phetoe there is mentioning, the will of the people of Venezuela has been fulfilled, and they have re-elected Nicolas Maduro to lead them for another term. We're going to leave it here for now. Goodbye.